Yesterday we talked about the circumference of circles, meaning the distance all the way around the outside. Today we're going to talk about the area of circles. There's a formula I'd like you to write down, which is used to find the area of all circles. That formula is the area equals pi r squared. You'll remember that pi, for our homework and for all assignments that we're going to do with circles, pi is equal to 3.14, and that's what you're going to plug into your calculators. R squared, we need to remember, is not the same thing as 2 times r. When we see r squared, we should be thinking r times r. The squared means it multiplies itself 2 times. So the formula we're using, pi times r, is what we're going to use for the area of all circles. Let me show you how that works. For this particular circle, r, representing the radius, or the distance halfway across the circle, is 5. So the first thing we're going to do is simply write our formula. Area equals pi times r squared. All we have to do then is plug in what we know. We already know that our radius is 5 meters, so I put in parentheses 5 squared. When I do this, I'm really careful to make sure that I don't multiply 5 by 2. It is not 5 times 2. It is 5 times 5, or 25. So our area is equal to pi times 25 meters squared. Or if I plug that into my calculator using 3.14, I'll get 78.5 meters squared. And that's all there really is to it. There's a couple of situations that might get confusing though, so let's do a couple more examples. Here's a circle that has a diameter of 12 yards. We want to find the area. Well, in the case of area, there's no nice formula that lets you use diameter to find the area. This is the diameter, this is not the radius. We want only the distance from here to the outside of the circle, or half of the diameter. So let's make a new circle now that represents that. If the distance all the way across the circle is 12 yards, then the radius is half of that, or 6 yards. Now all we need to do is make sure that we write our formula and start filling things in. The area is equal to pi times r squared. So when we start filling things in, we can say, okay, we know that our radius is 6 yards, so pi times 6 squared. And when I say 6 squared, that does not mean 6 times 2. It means 6 times itself, so 36. And I'll get 36 times pi, or when I plug that into my calculator, I'll get 113.04, and my units are yards. Yards squared because it's an area. So if you're given a circle that has a diameter, you must make sure to find the radius before you find the area. Lastly, what happens if you're asked to find half of a circle? Well, you do basically the exact same thing, and then you divide the entire answer by 2. So let me show you what I mean. We're asked to find the area of a half a circle that has a radius of 10 miles. So we write our formula, area equals pi r squared. We plug in 10 for our radius, and I make sure to put the squared on the outside of the parentheses. When I do this, I make sure that I do not multiply 10 times 2, I do 10 times itself, or 100, and I get 100 times pi, or 314 miles squared. Well, I'm not done yet, because what I've just done is I found the area of a circle, a whole circle. But I don't want the whole circle, I just want half of it. So naturally, I'll take this and I'll divide it by 2 to find the half circle. I'll get 157 miles squared, and that is the area of half of the circle.